All of us are here.
We are here.
And we have two items on our agenda. One is to receive a presentation from Engineering Department regarding the city's recently implemented electronic plan, and the other is possibility of establishing a smoke-free environment. So, start with Darren Farr of Senior Civil Engineer.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. I'm excited to be here today. Hopefully this presentation is fun, exciting, showing you, demonstrating some of the new things that we're doing in the engineering department. It's great stuff, and we wanted to kind of bring it and run it by you guys. You might ask yourself, what is an electronic plan review system? Throw the name out there. Essentially, this is a new system that the engineering department has used to be able to receive, review, return, and approve construction plans electronically. We no longer have to have paper submitted to the city for our review of construction plans. And we'll get into a little bit of detail of how awesome that really is, but it's really revolutionized our system. Prior to getting into that, I wanted to kind of go through our engineering department, kind of talk a little bit about who we are, what we do, and some of the functions we perform. From our director down to our administration staff, our critical goal is to make sure that city infrastructure is built to standards and that it allows city the room to be able to grow into the future. I mean, that's what we're there for, and we ensure that that's available for the city. We have a couple of divisions in our engineering department. There's a CIP and a real estate group. They take care of our city-funded projects, making sure that our projects are built, to plan and in budget. We also have our real estate specialist, and she makes sure that we have the property, the land to build upon. We also have an inspections division, a group of inspectors that go out and make sure that our projects are built, again, per code, and that the developers are meeting all the necessary city codes, so that we enjoy that level of I'm missing a word here, but the standard that we enjoy here in the city of Goodyear. We really do have a wonderful city, and this is a little bit better than the rest. We also have a GIS division. They incorporate a lot of city data, everything from zoning to engineering to water lines, and they combine it into a mapping system so that the city staff and development city staff from other departments throughout the city can use that information to make their plans and be able to do their jobs more efficiently. And then finally, there's the engineering, planning, and plan review division. This city staff that works in these areas, they review construction, design, and planning plans just to make sure that, again, that the infrastructure is constructed and designed per our city code, and that we can enjoy that the ability of the future of the city to grow into the future. And really struggling here. I'm a little bit nervous, but
It's a work
no, this is
session.
good. This is good.
Work session.
Excellent.
Don't worry about
Part of the
it.
group.
Oh, good.
You too.
Anyway, so that just gets us through the introductions. Again, I manage the engineering plan review division, so I make sure that our group of plan reviewers can review their plans professionally and to make sure the standards are maintained. Just kind of go through what our old process is. We're going to talk about the plan review process. So, these reviewers, what they do, what our old process was, and we'll jump into a little bit of our new process. I apologize, these slides these pictures are a little bit small, but more of icons to kind of show you what we're doing. In the old process, the developer would come in with a set of plans, drop them off at the counter. Our permit techs would have to open the plans, look through the plans, make sure that the plans are all in order, that they had enough information, that they were grouped according to how we need to have them come in. After that, after they're accepted, a lot of times there's enough plans that you actually have to have a cart to bring all the plans to our plan review area, where they're set on shelves and stored until a plan reviewer actually had enough room on his desk to be able to bring those plans to his desk and perform his review. So pretty manual, time consuming. Other sets of those plans were routed to other city departments for their review. and comment. Once all the comments were completed, a package would be put together, and then a developer would be called and said, you can come pick up your plans, and they could perform their changes. That was our old system. So why did we go do an electronic plan review system? And I know you guys are familiar that from the years about 2003 to 2007, developing the city was exploding. I mean, it really was. And it really affected our engineering department. We were really stressed and strained with this amount of work that was being brought into the city. Really challenged our system, challenged the amount of customer service we could provide to our clients, which is the development community. So we looked at some alternatives. What could we do to make this system better? And one of the alternatives that we looked at was an electronic plan review system. We noticed that this system would allow us to be better organized. It would allow us to be able to provide a higher level of service to the development community during those times of high development and increased development. So through our selection process, we evaluated several different packages, and we came up with the solution of using Project Docs by Evolve. It's the software system that they developed. It was the best suited software for the city needs, and it also provided us a couple of other added benefits that we'll kind of go into a little bit later. So what is our new process? This kind of illustrates what our new process is. When a developer completes their plans on the computer, instead of printing them off on paper, they just simply upload them to our city system. When they get to the city system, our plan reviewer would then route the plans electronically to other departments. After they perform their review, the comments would then be uploaded again to the system, where the developer would just download them to his computer. And as you can see, there's our original process of manually handling and moving and transporting plans and storing them on racks and paper everywhere. And simply we're eliminating those portions of the process. And this is going to be great. So what are some of the benefits we're seeing? There's benefits that we have seen, but there's also benefits to the development community, benefits to the environment, and some added benefits that we didn't recognize at first as being an attribute to this system. It's kind of laboring, but I thought I'd go into what did they see, what was their process, and kind of compare that to how our new process helps them out. Developer, again, complete their design on the computer, then they print the plans to paper. A lot of times they didn't have the capability of printing multiple sets of plans, so they have to take them to a reprographic company of sorts. Multiple sets of the plans would be made, at least 3 sets for the city to review, then other sets for the owner's use and the engineer's records. They'd have to go pick those up from the reprographic company, deliver the plans to the city, wait for us to comment, then go pick them up from the city. And then that process would have to be repeated 3, sometimes even more times before a plan would be approved. So you can start to imagine the implications of this system. Finally, once plans are completed, then a final hard copy set would have to be delivered to the city for their use for the construction inspectors, so they could take it out to the field. The new process, the engineer, again, he designs it on the computer, creates PDFs, simple electronic file that's easily created. Those PDFs are then transferred to the city. The city makes their comments. Comments are then transferred back to the developer. And again, the process still has to take 3 or 4 more times, because it's an iterative process to get those plans approved. And then one final hard copy set is then submitted to the city. So you can see we've eliminated a lot of that traveling and handling of plans and moving back and forth. And there's days of time that they're saving just from handling and relieving them of having to go through those steps. So what are the true benefits to the development community? they're going to start saving in plan reproduction costs. That's going to be their biggest saver right off the bat. If you could consider a plan set for a subdivision, a large subdivision, can sometimes be 100 pages thick or more. And you see, they would need one set of plans, or 3 sets of those plans for us to review, not including the other plans that they need internally. That many plan sets, repeatedly 3 times delivered to the city. You can start to imagine the amount of paper and ink and handling costs that are involved there. You think of the people that actually have to combine the paper, to collate the paper, to fold the paper. All that is eliminated through this system. Again, there's the delivery costs. They don't have to deliver it or pick it up from the city. All that's taken care of. And one of the real benefits to the system, and you guys probably hopefully enjoy this, is we are one of the first in the state that we know of to be able to offer a level of flexibility. The developer can submit plans day or night and from any internet location. They don't even have to be at their office to be able to submit plans. This level of flexibility isn't offered by anyone. I mean, we are one of the first in the state and only one of a handful of municipalities in the nation to be able to do this, implement a automated system such as this. Another one of the great benefits is electronic collaboration. In the past, plan reviewer would handwrite his comments on the plans and then roll those handwritten comments up and send them to the developer. Now the problem would be if the developer had a question on what those red lines are. Well, this city, we didn't have a copy of those red lines, so the developer would have to actually come down to the city, roll them out, show us, what the comments were, or try to explain it over the phone, just depending on the level of detail that needed to be discussed. With the new system, everything can be viewed on the computer at the same time. The engineer can view it, the plans examiner can review it, the owner can review it, and the engineering manager, everybody can see it at the same time and collaborate via teleconferencing, phone calls. It's a tremendous benefit to the developer to have that. Sure.
What feedback are you getting from the developer?
We're going to get into that in a little bit, but it's great. We've had nothing but positive feedback from the development community. The last thing I want to kind of go through, just kind of show you, illustrate a little bit of what it looks like to do an electronic plan review. This is essentially a blank sheet of paper of construction drawing that we'd receive from a developer. With our electronic plan review system, you can see that we can add electronic comments onto the plan review system. So you can see there's the before and there's the after. Now this lends to a whole nother level of benefits. If you can imagine, sometimes handwritten comments aren't too legible. That leads to a lot of problems and it's not just with our city. There's other cities that have that same problem. I used to be on the other side, and I've seen a variety of comments. But to have the comments handwritten and spell checked, this is a great benefit. I mean, it's really clear what we want to say to the development community, and so this is a tremendous benefit for them. The next point I want to talk about is how we're becoming more environmentally friendly by implementing this software system. If you can imagine, as you can see, those dumpsters there, those are actually dumpsters that we keep on hand at the engineering department for throwing away plans when they've been used after we're done with them. And you can imagine, I mean, that's kind of a overkill on how much we really throw away, but there's some times during the peak that it's a tremendous amount of paper that we're throwing away on a daily and weekly basis. So we're saving a lot of paper from the environment. We're also reducing the amount of vehicles that are on the city roadways. The developer no longer has to come down and meet with the city and drop off plans. And again, likewise, there's a reduced amount of vehicle emissions that goes hand in hand with that, reduced vehicle trips. Some of the extra benefits we've started to see with this in the city's process is with this electronic plan review system, everything has a date and a timestamp on it, so that whenever something comes in, it's marked. Whenever it goes out, it's marked. Whenever a comment is added to the plan review, it's noted on there. And this actually been a tremendous benefit for us, and they've been able to be proactive in preventing issues with developers and making sure plans are back on time, making sure that the process is completed in a timely manner, as well as being able to resolve other issues that we generally encounter. So this is being able to track where things are at, having that all laid out has just been phenomenal for us. It's also been a great management tool. For me, as a manager, I can open up a set of plans that are being reviewed. I can look at the plans and I can see what the comments are being made. I can provide feedback to the reviewer and let them know, give them different hints or help in reviewing their plan set. Just being able to see everything on a real-time basis and be able to respond to a developer when they call and let them know this is where we're at in the process. This has really been a great benefit to the city. How do you get started? It's pretty simple. You navigate to the city website, get into the engineering web page, and from there you can just click on a project or the electronic plan review system. There's a little link there to click on, and simply you can either choose to start a new project or jump back into an existing project. It's as simple as that. Nothing. It's not very complicated. They don't really have. They have to download a little piece of software to their system once they get on, but it's pretty straightforward. So how is this really? What does this really do for the city? As I mentioned earlier, the City of Goodyear is the first in the state that we know of. There's other agencies that have project docs, but they don't use it to the extent that we do. They don't see the true benefits that we are seeing from this plan. And again, only one in a handful of municipalities in the nation that use this. Councilmember Sousa, as to your question, the development community has been very pleased with this process. They're saving so much time and money and costs, and we have nothing but good reviews from the development community. To date, we've used this system for a review of more than 50 different commercial, residential, CIP projects, and currently we're requesting that all projects be submitted electronically, and we've had tremendous support with that. Sure, go ahead.
Where did the engineering department pick up this idea?
This was picked up back in 2007. There was, again, with this high demand that we had and plans coming in, we were just looking at alternatives to be able to meet that demand, but yet provide that high level of customer service that we've always tried to provide to our clients.
Did you design this program, or did you pick it up from someplace else?
No, it's an existing program that we purchased from Evolve. They're the producers of the program. So we didn't start the program, but we're one of the first ones to get on board with it.
How long do you keep a plan in the system? The system closes out, and
Yep.
I'm thinking of the home building market. So somebody moves in their development and they've lost their plan, so they know they got to go to the city. So how long would you keep a development plan in the system before deleting it?
Sure. Right now we keep plans for every development in the city. Even before the system, we have everything.
I knew you did that.
Everything.
I just didn't know what the memory was and how long you would keep.
We have recently upgraded our server because it was a little full. So we feel that this is essential information to keep. So we've been keeping it as much as possible. And whether there's a time frame where that actually gets deleted out, maybe there's a 20-year time frame. I don't think we've established that, and maybe I can get some help on that.
Put it on a disk, can't you, and store it?
Sure, and we have backups of all of our information. Yeah,
So you have it forever.
exactly.
You don't have to keep all the red lines and everything. You can clean it all out and keep
Exactly.
your last
Uh-huh.
one. Also, it seems like to me that it would be an advantage is that things aren't getting lost.
Yeah, and I'm about ready to.
Sometimes they
yeah,
get put in
exactly helping us
places,
become more organized is the key to this program. It's been
Darren,
great.
if the developer comes in, he's already got his plans on a sheet, do they have to scan it? How do they do that to get it into the system?
We can scan it at the city, at the engineering department.
so they can bring it
if
in
They,
and
if
you
they
can
do
see
have that, and to be honest, we haven't had that problem yet. We've had several people bring in hard copies, and we've asked them, hey, could you just go back to we'll take the hard copies, but could you go back and and just print them to PDF and send them through our electronic system, and they're more than happy to do that.
In the city of Fort Collins, we mandated that all developers must submit electronically in 2003. I mean, so it was a requirement. We would reject them if they came in with paper. The development community was fully supportive and loved it.
But your developers are using automated packages too, a lot of CAD/CAM.
No, they're,
Some aren't, though.
But some, yes, I know.
but this will get them, more of them to do
Yes,
it.
yeah.
I guess that's why I got an answer so quickly when somebody called me about a contractor and had said he submitted the plans, and he absolutely had not submitted the plans, but you had all.
Check that very
So
quickly.
it's always a cross-check now, isn't it? So
We know exactly
we
the
get good
time and the date that
information.
they do it.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
I see why I got the answer so quickly
it's-
from you twice.
You've got the ability to accommodate the person that wants to remodel or the drafter that is, I mean, if somebody wants to remodel their house or remodel a building and they're an architect, they're going to go hand draw their own things, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're going to have CAD availability to do that. But you're able to take a hand-drawn
Sure.
spec over the counter, scan it behind the counter in terms of customer service.
Correct. Yeah, typically we deal with engineers, but if an engineer, and there's some old school engineers out there that will hand draft everything, and we can take that in, scan it in, put it right in our system.
So
if we need
it
to.
doesn't hurt them if they're not
No,
computers.
no, exactly.
Is it difficult, has it been difficult for staff to kind of learn this new system? I mean, has it been even difficult on your eyes trying to see on the computer screen now? You know, I mean, look, you were looking at large scale
Yeah.
design plans, and now you're going to, you know, trying to look at that. Has that been a...
One of the things, I'll go back a couple of slides and see if I can answer that question a little bit better.
Well, I mean, I was just curious.
If you can see that second
Okay.
slide on the top, you see how wide that screen is? We actually went in and
Oh,
purchased
okay.
some wider screens.
I was gonna ask, larger
so that we
monitors.
can actually see things in a real-time format.
I thought it was because she was smiling.
That would probably make her smile.
Well, that was my other question, was the hardware changed along with this? Okay.
Yeah, there was a hardware change that went for those that were actually using the system on a regular basis.
So we're ready for increased development, is that what we're saying?
That's what we're set up. Now, we started this process in 2007 when things were really booming. Things have definitely slowed down since then, but we are there. We're prepared for the new bump.
But there shouldn't be any problem with complaints about turnaround, because this is what we're hearing all the time. Oh, they take forever for the city of Goodyear to get anything out.
Well, and kind of speak to
Well, it
that
shouldn't
point
be.
a little bit. To speak to that point a little bit, the lengthy part of the process is actually looking at each plan set. And to be honest, this isn't going to help that process out. I mean, you still have to open up each plan and do a detailed review of the plan. I mean, that's what we're there to do.
Want that.
And we want that because it lends to creating a better
And
city.
many times, Frank, in defense of the engineering department, when we've gone in and documented with the dates, the delay is we've gotten it back to the engineer, and it's been in their hands for 3 weeks.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and generally that's what happens, but they don't tell you that.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they,
Yeah, but this new
when they
system
talk to
does
a
now.
The new
customer.
system, I guess,
System verifies
exactly.
that now.
There's
That's what I love about
accountability
it.
now.
Everything is there, and it's crystal clear. It's transparent. We know exactly how the process is going. And we can-
Well, much of that goes on, and with a lot of things, and when you come down to it, and you go back to, I go back to the city manager, and he checks with staff, come to find out it's more the customer's problem than it has been staff. So, anyway, that doesn't surprise me.
I just had one more slide real quick, if you guys, let me get to it real quick. I just want to close up just a couple of fine last-minute points. So I wanted to, I hope you guys have seen the potential and the benefit of this system. It's pretty clear what the real benefit of the system is. We hope that we can start implementing this with other departments. The planning and zoning department, building safety department, they haven't begun using the program. They're excited about it and they want to start using it. They haven't quite got there yet. We want to get our system finalized and configured to a steady state before we start bringing it to the other parts of the city. But that's our future. This is the future of our business, is full automation. There's no doubt about it. the old process of handling plans and printing so many copies of paper, it's in the past. We are going to be one of the first ones to get into the system, and by doing so, we're going to be one of the first ones to benefit from such a system, as well as our clients, the development community.
Yes, we want to hear, years ago we heard someone say, well, it just takes so long through Goodyear that I just as soon build in some other area. And now they'll all want to be coming here because we can just get it through just like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
They don't have any problems? We shouldn't find any problems there, right?
Oh, yeah. Just one other way that we, in the engineering department, are really trying to keep City of Goodyear in the forefront. We're trying to keep us in the spotlight because we are an outstanding city. And I appreciate your guys' time. I'm glad I'd be able to come and speak with you.
Let me clarify something.
Yeah.
At the end, you said that you haven't communicated or haven't, collaborated yet with all the other departments, like you said, planning and zoning and others. You don't mean in plan review. You mean for use in other activities.
Exactly. Thank you.
Plan review, TIs, those sorts of things are totally under electronic control right now. Is that correct?
That is correct, and we are actually
Regardless what department, you go to the fire department, and they're on this system too.
exactly
Okay.
right. Sorry, I didn't clarify.
No,
that.
that's okay. I just want to make sure.
The other departments are using the system for our type of reviews, but in terms of their special reviews,
Shorten the time.
it could really help them out, and hopefully in the
Give me an
future.
example of another special review.
Like the building safety department, they review all the
Building
building
plan.
construction plans. Anything that goes vertical. The engineering, we typically deal with things that are under the ground, water, sewer, transportation, roadways. So the building department, they deal with everything going.
Okay, if I come in with a TI to take a shell and build something out of that shell, I'm going to go to, I thought it was Harvey's guys, but I guess it's Raul's guys there at the counter. Who is that? Is that you or Harvey? Okay, so that's Harvey's guys. I give them the plan. I thought from what you were saying that I could give them an electronic input.
Right now, it's just the engineering plans, the
Okay.
engineering, water, sewer, grading, drainage.
So it isn't everything a developer.
No,
does.
it's not.
All right.
No, it's not. And we hope to be there soon. It will take a little bit more finances probably to get to that point.
Less paper in the future is what you're saying. They're still having.
It's the start of the process.
Right.
We're still reviewing paper plans of vertical construction.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Now, on the different, like the inspections, part of your engineering department, you're still contracting out, right? Does this?
No, we do not contract
You don't contract anything out now?
anything right now. no.
Okay, so this system has helped shortcut that so that we don't.
Well, it's helped, but the development downturn is why we've been eliminating all of our contracts.
Because this is, I've seen some enormous contract bills that have come through.
I mean, we paid $1 million in 2008 or 2008 for Brown and Associates for inspections.
Right.
This year, we're paying nothing. I mean, so we have eliminated, those are building inspections, but we have eliminated all of those through the engineering and the building inspections, with the exception of the Cincinnati Reds, because we
Yeah,
need to.
because
make
it's
sure
a
they're
huge.
contracted.
But other than that, everything else you've brought back in-house.
Yes.
That's great.
And we told the mall, this was before the mall continued, that we were going to bring all of that in-house also, because that was originally planned to be out of house.
So this will be a savings, a cost savings for,
Significant in the long run, yes.
yeah, in our next year's budget. I mean, beginning in our next year's budget. That's great. I mean, that's what I want to hear.
But we
Bottom
still
line on
outsource
this.
water and wastewater. We still have
Yes.
Yeah.
Question on the, you're doing the plan review. Are you getting the as-built at the end electronically as well?
We get those hard copy. I guess I'll defer to David on that one.
That'll be probably the next area we move into after
No secret amongst those folks that are working in the industry, but those are some of the hardest things sometimes to come by 25 years from now. So
the more we can request of our folks to get those, especially when it comes time to, I mean, obviously it's probably past due, but on some of these other things, some of the utility conflicts and what have you, as we get into other infrastructure projects that may come down the road 25 years from now. We receive as-bills, but they're still in paper form. Okay. So we do. And then are we redundantly storing these on-site and off-site? So that way they're not compromised if there's ever a loss?
I don't know how to answer that question. I believe that would be
I believe so, yes.
an IT. They are taking care of that, but it's
We store everything off-site and on-site.
I would think so, but I just, new system begs the question.
essentially it just merges into our existing system. It's using the existing server space to store the plans, and so whatever backups they do would.
We do it daily.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they would.
At least weekly,
at least weekly minimum, but I think it's daily.
Was the purchase price included in your budgets?
This was purchased back in 2007, as well as a 5-year maintenance plan. We have no anticipated costs for another 4 years.
Great.
John, do we intend to go to electronic for all plan review? You're going to incorporate
We're
everybody?
working towards that, yes.
That's
Okay.
the goal. That's been the goal, yeah.
Sure would make things
Great.
Okay. Hey, good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now you can
Did a
take a
great
big,
job.
deep breath.
Yes, I can. Thank you. My first time presenting, so it's been great.
Great job.
What school did you go to?
Utah State.
Okay, now Jim Nichols on smoke-free environment in city parks and other outdoor facilities.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As I started with the advance a few weeks ago, I will continue the trend of being brief, and so brief, in fact, that I don't actually have any PowerPoint or overheads to show you. Tonight, I'll be presenting you information on the possibility of establishing a smoking restriction in city parks and other outdoor public spaces to create a smoke-free environment. What led us to this concept is the fact that the Goodyear Ballpark and the plaza outside the ballpark were deemed non-smoking. There's a rule in place for that. And so that led us to the thought that, is this something we as a city want to consider for other outdoor spaces that we have? Some of the advantages to creating this type of smoking ban in our parks would be the elimination of secondhand smoke, which is a known health hazard, as well as the reduction of litter within our parks. Currently, Goodyear bans smoking in public buildings in compliance with ARS 36601. That's a state statute. And this same statute allows anyone that is in control of outdoor areas to designate those as non-smoking as well. So we have the authority to do this if we so choose. City of Phoenix currently enforces a non-smoking rule within their public parks, and a number of other cities in the state also have some form of smoking ban or ban smoking in certain park areas as well. If you were to decide that this is something we want to pursue, some of the steps we would take would include engaging in a public education campaign to make sure the public understands this change in the rules and the fact that our public parks would be no smoking. We would ensure that proper signage was posted in our parks. Enforcement would be provided by park staff and volunteers to inform violators of the smoking rule. It is not something where we would hire additional staff or have smoking patrols, so to speak, but it would be just something that, as noted, we would make sure to let folks know. Repeat offenders or individuals who choose to disregard the rules could be removed by police from our parks for trespassing because they would fail to leave the area when asked by staff and failing to follow the rule as designated. An ordinance for this rule is not required, so this is something we could do administratively. However, if it is council's desire, we could amend the current smoking ordinance and bring it back to you if you wanted, but that is not a requirement, something we would not necessarily have to pursue. All I'm looking for this evening is input, feedback, questions, and comments. That concludes my presentation. As I said, it was brief, and I welcome your thoughts on the concept.
Jim, let me just say that administratively, I declared this plaza and the ballpark smoke-free. I do not feel comfortable. I believe that that's a council decision for the parks, trails, et cetera, and that's why we bring this to you this evening. So, even though we could do it.
I've got no problem with this. I vocalized, or I don't know that I vocalized it, but in writing, memorialized my thoughts following a couple of city events on this one, when I observed a number of children at some of our Holly Jolly, I think it was Holly Jolly Festival that I emailed you following that. One other of us had a conversation about this. I'm not recalling the specifics, but you got a series of 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 3-year-olds, all at waist level with mom, smoking and putting a cigarette out like this, and behind or mom or dad or whomever, smoking with a cigarette right at face level. And I saw a number of times, one particular instance, with kids that were running back and forth at those kind of functions, and I just don't think it's polite, appropriate, or otherwise to be at those kind of functions smoking in a public place. As well as, adjacent other places like the skate park, while it might be a no smoking zone within, exterior to that, I think it's allowable outside when you're walking on the paths right between the tennis court and the skate park, and you look in that area, and so I have no problem with this whatsoever. I think of other areas around the cancer treatment centers, and I brought this up when we had a development plan. If we had the rails to trails kind of thing ever happen, we could declare that a no smoking zone, and so we don't have people walking by the very facility that is then treating people that perhaps are suffering from the cause and effect of smoking. So I have absolutely no problem enhancing our policies on this in areas that it seems appropriate to me.
Do we have signage up yet?
At the ballpark, yes.
At the ballpark there is, but at our community parks?
I don't know why I thought, is there something of the skateboard park?
Within the
Skateboard park has something.
Within it.
because
we made a policy within the fence.
I had a little
of the
discussion with a young
skateboard
man.
park. Right.
He was smoking a cigarette. I told him to put it
Within
out.
within the fence line of the skate park, there's nothing allowed. But that doesn't stop a parent from standing right at the entrance,
But at
or
the
a kid right
at the community park itself?
No. No, it's not prohibited.
You're smoking right
Oh,
behind
it's
the
not prohibited?
No. That's why we bring this to
That's
you this
why
evening.
we're going to prohibit it.
I think there's probably an appropriate area, perhaps. You got 10,500 people. There's bound to be a smoker or two in there, which we've all observed outside the ballpark, and I appreciate those being set off to a zone, a smoking area. Obviously, folks.
The only thing I caution you on is, as you all are aware, you can stand somewhere and smell smoke.
Yeah.
I don't think there should be a zone. No.
If somebody else
I
wants to go
personally
that far.
don't either. I don't think you should have a zone in a community park, for example.
No, not in a park.
How are the other cities that have done this? Have they been successful with it?
I can't speak for Arizona. I can speak for other states. Can you speak to Arizona?
No, I don't have any information on the level of success that they've had with their programs.
I took our grandson to the water feature at the park, and there were 2 others smoking. I'm telling you, we couldn't get away from it. It seemed like whenever we moved that side, the wind changed and it came
That's
up
right.
to us.
The wind
And it was
changes.
really disturbing. And if you walk along the park area, the number of cigarette butts that are all over now to clean those cigarette butts up, that it's time. That is time. It isn't something that's easy for our staff to do.
Right. And the reason I asked the question
dirty.
about the other cities is because enforcing something like this becomes difficult. It's hard to give tickets or however else we would do it, or we're going to ban you from the city park because you've got 3 citations. I don't know how you do all
Somebody
that with a lot
can
of
say,
overhead.
did you know politely that there's no smoking in this park?
And most people say,
And most
oh,
people
I'm
would
sorry.
say, oh, I didn't know that, and you can do that. Now, if the person refuses to stop smoking, it's another story, and that citizen will have to decide if they want to make a phone call or not, and that'll be up to them. But
Other states that have done this have some difficulty educating people, but that's why Jim said we're going to do a public education program. The state of Washington prohibits basically smoking everywhere. And the state of Washington, through public education, has been pretty successful in getting that accomplished. there still are people who are going to smoke, and there's quite frankly no way to
So
control
even
it.
on the street in city right-of-way and that sort of thing, that's
Yes.
still illegal there too?
Yes.
How many people here have been able to, in the nice weather, go to a restaurant that has patio seating and sit out there and have dinner? I would venture to say no, because there'll be the smokers out there. And so now, what we've done, we've given them some of the best areas to sit in during our best weather months. So it is something to think about.
My concern
And then
was-
there are the people that are smokers. Sorry, go ahead.
My concern was how the program was going to be enforced, and it pretty much brought to the fore by Councilwoman. You identified, who would be the enforcers, and kind of answered my question. So you feel that is enforceable, and I think what the people you designated as being the enforcers, I think satisfies my concern.
And one of the things, too, when you have volunteers in places like that, especially when you're dealing with many of our youth nowadays, you just want to make sure that they understand what the rules are. You have to ask them to leave. And if we're talking about putting someone, we can't have officials, police out there all the time. That's incredible. But we could have some of our volunteers, as you mentioned in your paper. But they'd have to have the backing of authority. The folks that you ask to leave or not smoke or reminding, you have to have something behind them to back it up, or they just will ignore it. So.
Okay, Joanne, you're just dying to give us the other opinion. Go on.
I think that it's arguable. I believe that it's honorable of what we're trying to achieve here, that we're looking out for the safety of our citizens, of children, and I respect that. I have a little tug at me that says we are being a government that's trying to regulate our citizens' rights in an outdoor area. And so that's what's tugging at me.
Well, I think you've got a point. That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
I can't deny that. I'm doing that.
So that's why I struggle with it, because I see the reasons on both sides. I see why we want to, but I also understand that we allow alcohol at our parks, and I have a problem with that as a parent, knowing that,
I don't think we do a baseball. I don't think, no, Joanne.
No, I'm not talking about baseball park. I'm talking about just.
Oh, we allow beer.
No, I'm talking about our city leagues at the baseball. I don't think there's alcohol allowed.
Well, I'm not speaking. I'm just saying in general.
There's nothing that prohibits somebody from bringing a six-pack into our park or
I
a
doubt
bottle
it.
of wine to a music event or anything like that.
You check that out.
I don't think there is.
Mike, you want to?
No, I
In the
remember.
leagues?
I
With all
remember
the leagues?
specifically having that conversation
Yes, we have.
when we adopted park policy.
So when I sit there and looking at policy of what's best for people and what we, deem as best, which, of course, being around smoke is not good. I was raised in a house that no one's allowed to smoke in the house, smoke in the cars, that was how I was raised, and I totally appreciate that. I loved it that we went to going to restaurants that don't allow smoking inside. I mean, it's that inside that you can't get away from, but being outside,
Outside, you can't get away from it.
well,
And the other-
that's like standing at a campfire. You can't get away from the smoke there either.
If
can you?
if I get some alcohol and I blow in your face, what's going to happen? You're
Nothing.
going to say bad breath. I blow in your face with a cigarette, you're going to say I'm getting that second-hand and third-hand smoke.
I'm just
It's
saying
a little bit
that
separate.
I understand, but I just feel that we are tipping the scale of where government is regulating our life. And for people that are outdoors, where they know, okay, this is where the only place I'm allowed to smoke now is outdoors, we're now regulating that too. And so that's where I just have to think about it.
It's my air. My air, too.
Yeah, I agree. And I said that this is for the best of everyone. I agree with that. But it's just that.
Well, you're going to get the comments.
And they're probably going to be more favorable of not smoking,
I don't know.
But you're going to hear both.
It won't be as loud as.
They're not, they're going to, the smokers are, we're going to, if you don't go on AZ.com.
Well,
look tonight. It will not be in our favor, I can assure you, by this the coming
I
out.
don't know about that. I mean, given we're having a dialogue about this, I mean, I'm willing to put aside somebody's personal desire to smoke for the 11 other kids that are maybe on the baseball team who aren't exposed to that and don't have a choice, and the one mom or the one dad or the one, individual that wants to watch a Little League game is out smoking behind the dugout, when in fact these kids are trying to be Major League Baseball players and MLB doesn't allow it. Basketball doesn't allow it. Football doesn't allow it. They chew, maybe some of them, but they're pretty pretty strict in some of their rules and regulations.
Well,
as they go
and
through
I
it.
think that maybe there are areas that, just like you're
Right.
saying, that should.
That's what I was kind of getting at. I mean, I think there's, people are going to offend if there's not an area to possibly go and retreat and go have a cigarette. And so we may run into more situations than we desire to run into, especially where we have mass gatherings. I mean, I think, even at the ballpark, it's maybe not in the most desirable area. We all park in certain areas, and you got to walk right through that smoking crowd when you're going to hand your ticket in. So
But see,
it is
maybe
annoying.
at events, that's the
Put 'em off.
case. Events,
Put 'em off
it's a
to,
non-smoking event.
Put them
I
in
mean,
the
there's-
cotton field we own to the
Well, I have been
south.
pleasantly surprised at
Not
the
many.
ballpark. We have had very few problems with people smoking where they aren't supposed to. I'm sure there have been some cases, but we do not have a problem with that at the ballparks. So we have a very compliant citizenry in this area.
For me, it's when there's masses of public people in our community parks, where folks are coming to an event, don't have a choice.
Sure.
Person that decides to light up has a choice. And I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for saying that, but they got a choice. They can decide to do it. I don't get to decide whether I get to inhale a smoke when I'm standing next to them, waiting in line for my 5-year-old kid to go play snowballs in our make-believe snow in Arizona or wherever else it might happen. So,
If I may, Rob, just as a point, I would argue with you that as a former smoker, a very heavy smoker, many years ago, they don't have a choice.
oh, okay. Point taken. Point taken.
I still would like
I know
to
about
find
that
out
too, John.
how some of the cities that have implemented it, what issues that they have run into that we can
We
at
will
least
check
be
with the other
forewarned
Arizona
about.
cities. So.
The mass
Doing isn't
crowds,
any
I think,
better.
I agree with you, Rob.
I will forewarn you that George is right. You will hear from the
Oh,
smokers.
there's no question about
And
it.
they are loud, believe me. In the state of Washington, I think it was 20% of the people smoked still. It's that low. But believe me, when the state implemented a no smoking policy in bars, restaurants, everywhere, all public places, you heard from the 20%. So,
Now, are we going that far? Are you
Oh,
saying
no.
that? I didn't think so. I thought we were just speaking of
saying public property.
Just saying public.
public, meaning parks and trails. Okay.
I'm still not going to sit on the patio and have my dinner.
All public property, is that what you're saying?
I don't know yet.
I think you guys have to.
We haven't defined it yet because all public property,
Would include that smoke area next to 190.
yeah, and I'm not sure we're going to go there. So,
I guess it's worth investigating.
yeah.
So, do you need anything else from us? It sounds like there's support for it. It's arguable maybe, but there is support for this. And I'd probably leave it at that, I think.
I'll work through with the city manager to bring this forward further.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
You ready to go on to the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay,
Do we have to go back up because it's just a consent?
fine by me, stay here.
I would.
All right.
Fine by me. I gotta grab
Okay,
my-
we'll adjourn the work session.